If the British Army was asked to fight tonight,
Yes.
it would fight tonight. And I don't think anybody in this room should be under any illusion that if the Russians invaded Eastern Europe tonight, then we would meet them in that fight. That would be the first point I'd make.
Thank you, General. Yeah, no, I'm absolutely certain that if the Russians invaded Eastern Europe, the British Army would be there. I'm a reserve officer, so I would probably be there with them.
We're there now, of course, in Estonia.
We are, but in force.
And,
in force.
If the British...
Okay, folks, things are happening, and they're happening fast. As you guys know, Biden gave Ukraine the go-ahead to use these U.S. long-range missiles to strike deep within Russian territory. Ukraine, after getting the go-ahead, they automatically started launching these missiles. Now, Russia responded by launching what some people are reporting is an ICBM. I cannot confirm that for a fact. I don't know what type of missile this was for sure yet. All I know is I've seen the video footage, and it looks crazy, folks. It looks crazy. Clearly, their missile defense systems had no chance of stopping these, whatever Russia just launched at Ukraine. And we're still waiting on confirmation as to what this missile actually was. I know Putin was reporting that this was like a test. The first time they've used it, it was successful. Listen, I'll show you the footage. You're watching it right now. It just looks absolutely insane, almost beautiful in a horrific way, if you will. It looks like, just something coming down straight from the heavens. But now, various countries are preparing for nuclear war. In places like Finland and Sweden and certain areas, they're already going door to door, passing out pamphlets that, with instructions about how to prepare for a nuclear strike. Literally telling their citizens that, hey, we're going to fight until the bitter end. If you see any reports about a ceasefire or a surrender, don't believe it. We're fighting to the bitter end. Now, that's some pretty intense stuff to be saying, right? Especially when you look at what's been happening lately. Meanwhile, over here in America, it's kind of like crickets. In America, we always feel like we're in the know and these other countries are in the dark about what's really going on. But it's becoming blatantly clear to me that at least as far as with this conflict, we're the ones that are in the dark. We're the ones sitting here pretending like there's nothing to see here. We're the ones not taking this very seriously or seriously at all. And folks, when I say we, I don't mean people like me and people like you. Obviously, I'm here talking about it. I've been talking about this for years, warning people about this for years. You guys are watching, so you all are in the know. A lot of you know more about this than I do. You just don't have a YouTube channel. So when I say we, I don't mean me and you, but we are in the minority in this country when it comes to people who actually pay attention or care about what's going on in the world. And that's just the facts, folks. So we, as in the U.S., we're the ones in the dark. It's becoming very clear to me that these other countries are taking this threat very seriously. And in many ways, probably because, hey, they're closer to the threat than we are. We're over here kind of isolated. We ain't worried about no one pulling up on us in our country. They're worried about it. They've seen the conflicts on their own soil. America has fought in many wars overseas, not really here on our own soil, right? They're used to this stuff, okay? So they take this stuff very seriously. So Finland and Sweden and other countries are already preparing their citizens for nuclear war. Russia is building all of these nuclear bunkers. It's getting absolutely bonkers out there, folks. And now we have some leaked documents from Germany showing that Germany is getting ready for World War III, getting ready for nuclear conflict as well. And we're about to go over some of what is stated in those documents right now. A 1,000-page classified report details specific infrastructure to be protected for military use and provides guidance for businesses and civilians on how to prepare for heightened threats. It suggests logistical plans for moving 200,000 military vehicles across Germany territory if needed. In light of these developments, Germany has advised its citizens to enhance self-sufficiency by installing diesel generators and wind turbines. The alarm is not limited to Germany. Both Sweden and Norway have issued literature advising their citizens on preparedness in case the conflict spills over into their nations as well. The urgency of these preparations follows President Vladimir Putin's recent announcement, which altered the Kremlin's nuclear strike policy to allow for nuclear response to non-nuclear conventional attacks. German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock stated, "Putin is playing with our fear," emphasizing that this intimidation has been ongoing since 2014 when Russia annexed Crimea. She added, "We must invest in our own security and protection." This shift in policy coincides with the U.S. decision to permit Ukraine to use American-made long-range missiles against Russia, effectively removing a previous buffer zone of 190 miles from the Ukrainian border. Reports indicate that Russia has sought assistance from North Korea, requesting up to 110,000 troops to bolster its efforts in Ukraine. The German armed forces are proactively preparing for emergencies under a strategic document called the Operations Plan Germany. This plan, developed by politicians and military experts, outlines responses to potential defense situations. The first version of the strategy paper spans 1,000 pages and remains classified. The strategy paper reportedly identifies critical buildings and infrastructure facilities that require protection for military purposes, reflecting Germany's focus on ensuring readiness against potential threats. The document outlines detailed procedures for handling a defense situation and potential deterrence measures. In the event of a defense situation or heightened tensions, Germany is poised to act as a logistical hub for NATO forces. The document also emphasizes measures to strengthen deterrence capabilities, demonstrating Germany's commitment to NATO's collective defense strategy. It outlines responses to various scenarios that could arise from an expanded conflict involving Russia. Under the plan, Germany would serve as a logistical hub for NATO forces, potentially accommodating tens or even hundreds of thousands of soldiers from throughout the world. This would involve the transport of military equipment, food, and medicine to the eastern flank of NATO. Germany's preparations reflect growing unease among Western nations about the possibility of a more direct confrontation with Russia. So let me go ahead and put this into perspective for you guys, folks. While we're over here in America online complaining about the Country Music Awards, online taking advantage of the early Black Friday deals, getting ready to stuff our faces with turkey and cranberry sauce and watch some NFL games, while we're doing that, the rest of the world is preparing for nuclear Armageddon. And it's not just the countries I've mentioned. There's other countries as well. And our enemies, of course, are preparing as well. And when I say that the rest of the world is preparing, I don't just mean the elites. I don't just mean the politicians or the militaries. I mean everyday people, the citizens. Other countries are being kind of transparent with them about where we're headed and where this overall conflict is going and where all of these conflicts are headed in the world. In America, we're not getting that transparency. In America, we haven't seen or heard from Kamala Harris since she lost the election. You would think that she isn't even vice president anymore. Biden, he pops up every so often. I think he was in like the Amazon jungle the other day. But we're not getting any transparency about what's really going on in the world. None of us are really worried about what's happening out there. But the rest of the world is passing out pamphlets telling people, hey, you need to buy generators, you need to stock up on food, you need to get ready because war is coming. War is coming. That's what the rest of the world knows. They're screaming it from the mountaintops. They're literally going door to door telling people war is coming. Meanwhile, here in America, we're out of the movies watching the new woke Wizard of Oz nonsense. You know what I mean? It's like, it's crazy. It's crazy when you open the blinds and you start looking at the outside world. Because we got so much stuff going on internally in America. We're coming off the last election. People are still upset and arguing about that. But the rest of the world, they're getting ready. Now, hopefully they're getting ready for nothing. Hopefully this goes nowhere. That's the best case scenario. But over the past few weeks, things have gotten to an extreme level. And we're reaching the point of no return, but we still haven't gotten there yet. We still, even after all of this, we haven't gotten there yet. But we're getting closer and closer and closer. And this is a very delicate situation. All it takes is one move. Just like all it took was one move to get us to this point. And after this point, there's not really many other levels to take it, without just absolutely, just absolute destruction. So, I don't have anything good to say about what's going on, obviously. I hope that things can get better. I know that there's a pathway towards peace. But the people who are behind the wheel right now, at least in this country, they're not looking for peace. And I would like to know how people in other countries, especially like over there in Europe, over there in these countries where they're preparing y'all for war, how do you all feel about the conflict in Ukraine? How do you feel about Joe Biden giving Ukraine the go-ahead to use these weapons to take this war to the next level when he only has a few weeks left in office? That feels like a gigantic, at least here in America, to me, it feels like a gigantic FU to the American people and to the rest of the world. Here I am, on my way out the door, but before I go, let me make sure that I ruin everything, more than I already have. Let me make sure I shake up the world one last time and do the worst thing imaginable. Let me go ahead and try to spiral the entire world into World War III. A month or so before I leave office. I want to know how the rest of the world feels about that. As they have pamphlets delivered to their front door about how they need to prepare their kids just in case a nuclear strike drops on their capital. You know what I mean? About how they're having to go to bomb shelters and live in subway trains and all this nonsense that's going on. How do you all feel? Because you're closer to the conflict. If any of you all are watching, feel free to let us know down below. And the rest of you, let me know how you feel as well. But while you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell. And I'll talk to you all very soon in the next one. Hopefully.